Hey guys, it's me, Shayna. It is a little bit late to be cooking. As you can tell, I just recently got out of the shower, so don't mind the pajama appearance. But I am cooking the ever-famous avocado, butternut squash, quinoa timbale stack that every time I post those pictures on there, because it is really, really good. But it looks really cool too, and I know a lot of you guys want the recipe, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys in as quickly of a way as I can. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my butternut squash over here. And you're going to want about 2 cups of it chopped into little cubes, like, I mean, it's kind of like a medium size. Some of them are a little smaller. You want 2 cups of those. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And I will be back with the second step. Okay, so I forgot to mention that while you're doing all this, you want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. And also you're going to need to get coconut oil, about half a tablespoon of rosemary. You can get it, I get the fresh kind that I have to chop up, which I hate chopping herbs, but it's always a lot tastier, I think, when you use the fresh ones. But just make sure you get crushed rosemary, and sea salt and black pepper are all of the next ingredients that you're going to need. Okay, so it was a little hard to do with holding the camera, so I just threw it all in a bowl. And I have my butternut squash, I have my pepper to taste, your salt to taste, and your half a tablespoon of rosemary, which I usually add a little bit more of the rosemary just because I like the taste of it. And I put my coconut oil in there, and now I just want to mix it around and try to get that oil on as much of these as possible, which is hard to do sometimes if it's at room temperature, because the coconut oil, see, look, it gets kind of hardened, but that's okay. Just use the coconut oil a little bit to grease your pan with also before you put these on there, and that works too. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put these on my baking sheet, and I'm going to put them in the oven for 20 minutes. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do while the butternut squash is in the oven is cook our quinoa, which the best kind to do is the kind that you can soak overnight and then you cook it. But if you don't want to go all crazy, you can just get the organic quinoa from Trader Joe's, which, by the way, everything in this recipe you can get from Trader Joe's, with the exception of the red cabbage. But I think that's the only thing that you can't get from Trader Joe's, but if I remember anything else, I'll tell you guys along the way. But you're going to cook your quinoa in your vegetable broth, low sodium, and it'll take about 10-12 minutes just until it's soft and fluffy. And then we're going to mix it with all of our other herbs and spices, and go to that part in a second. Be back. Oh my gosh, really cute. How cute is this? My little pug buddy sits in the kitchen every time I'm cooking, just keeping me company. Okay, so just to get you guys updated, my quinoa is looking good. It's just about done, getting there. I don't want them to be too hard, so I'm going to turn this down to low and let it sit there for a little while longer. And as you can hear, this is going off, so I'm going to take these out. Okay. Sorry, guys. I need a cameraman. It'll be a lot easier. Okay. Now, all I'm going to do at this point, I have no room, is stir these around a little bit. Just move them around, flip some over. Okay. Then, I'm going to put them back in for another 20 minutes. And then over here, I've got my minced parsley and, wow, it's not focusing, and basil. And now I'm working on my red cabbage, my 1/4 cup. And I will be adding the quinoa to that when it is done, which is getting close. So we'll be back in a sec. Okay, so just to show you guys the way that I cut up the avocados, these ones got really messy because they were super ripe, and I cut them terribly uneven. But I usually just gut them out of their little shell, so that way it's easier to cube them. This is hard to do because I'm looking through the camera. Whoa. Okay, you guys get the point. You know how to cube. But it's easier to do this way. So, and now, while the butternut squash finishes up in the oven, I'm going to get something. You can use something, you know, a little bit smaller, or this is all I have that is in that shape. So it's a little Tupperware. But this is what I use. I put a little bit of coconut oil in it to grease it up a little bit. And what you're going to do next, which I'll show you guys when the butternut squash is done, but here's my quinoa that I added. I'm going to mix all this up, put some salt and pepper to taste, add your lime juice, your cabbage, basil, and parsley. And then from here, once the butternut squash is done, we're going to go ahead and start putting it in our little ramekin or whatever you guys are going to use. And you'll start with the butternut squash, you'll add your cubed up avocado, and then you're going to mash down some of the quinoa. So we're going to wait for the butternut squash, and I will show you guys how it's done. Be back soon. Okay, so now we are ready to assemble. And we're going to take some of our butternut squash. And again, if you use smaller ramekins, you can make more of these if you want to make, you know, little appetizers or something, or have them out on a tray for a party, or if you're making it as a meal, then these ones are actually perfect size. For example, my boyfriend, he is never satisfied with my portions, and even he was happily satisfied with the size of this little ramekin, because it's a big one. So this will only make about 2 because it's pretty big and wide. So it's perfect for he and I if you're trying to do a dinner like that. And if you have a hungrier dinner guest, then you can just throw a salad on the side, or you can even make some chicken or something on the side. But I usually find that this is pretty filling on its own. Okay, so we have the butternut squash in there. Just make sure that you cover like most of the little holes, the little gaps in there. And again, this is really hard to do with just one hand since I'm holding this. But you're going to put your little cubed up avocado, and if I wasn't showing this to a bunch of people, I would do this with my hands and just separate it, because I know it's going to be me eating it. So just pretend I'm being a lot more civilized about this. And I'm an avocado, oh my god, I can't even say the word. I'm an avocado fiend, so I like to make sure there's plenty. And same thing, try to cover now the orange top with green, and it will look a lot prettier than this. Okay? And now, after I lick my avocado fingers, you're going to mash it down. Like once you put it in there, this is where you press down, kind of like a sandcastle. And yes, I am watching Sons of Anarchy in the background. Don't know if any of you are Sons of Anarchy fans out there. I'm a little sad now that Breaking Bad is over, so right now I just got my Sons. Okay, this is taking way long with one hand. Okay, and that's usually good enough, and I press it down pretty good just because I like the shape to come out. Which this is a really great dish if you're, you know, have any guests over, or if you want to impress the in-laws or whatever. It looks really fancy and it's really easy to do. And I mean, even when I'm cooking it just for myself, I always make it look pretty because that's just, I'm a nerd like that, and I love presentation. Okay, so now this is going to be kind of difficult with one hand, but let's see if I could make it happen here. I'll just show you what I do. I I put the plate on top like this, and then I'm going to set the camera down here. Bear with me. Okay, okay, good. So I've placed the plate on top like this. And now, I try to make sure it's centered. Flip. And then it should easily slide out of there since you put the coconut oil in beforehand. And take it off. And now, you're going to garnish it with these organic microgreens. Again, got this from Trader Joe's. This is not a family show, and I've got like murders going on in the background. Okay, and you just kind of garnish it with this. See, and this is a perfect example of what not to do, is wait for your butternut squash to cool down a little bit, because if it's super hot, it's going to fall apart a lot easier. You wait for it to cool down, it shouldn't fall apart, kind of like it is now. Aside from that little piece right there, you can see, this is terrible lighting, hold on. There we go, much better lighting. So you can see this is what it looks like, all nice and done. This would be more of my size. I usually stuff the ramekins a little bit more when I'm cooking it for a guy, because again, they're always able to fit a lot more. And so yeah, I'll make my second one with the rest of this, and that should be enough to make a second one. So anyways, sorry that this has kind of been all over the place. It's really late and I've had a really long day. And yeah, so a little scatterbrain. But if you haven't seen, I'm going to post the ingredients underneath the video, or if you're watching this on my blog and not on YouTube, then you'll already see the ingredients and all the measurements and stuff like that. But it's really easy to do. It takes about 45 minutes, because while the butternut squash is cooking, you're doing all of the other things that you have to do. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's really, really tasty, and it looks fancy, and yeah, so it's one of my favorite things to make, and when I actually have the time to do it, it's like the first thing that I choose to make, because it's just so tasty. So yeah, you could just serve it like that, or you guys have seen in my pictures, I decorate it with like sriracha and all kinds of fancy things. But the cool thing about this recipe too is that once you kind of get good with the ingredients and knowing what goes good with what, you can kind of start creating your own little things just based off of what you like. You know, different kinds of quinoa. You can put tuna instead of butternut squash. You could put chicken, you know, diced up, or and just kind of mix and match with whatever it is you like, and comes out fancy, comes out tasty. You can experiment, and it's awesome. So anyways, I hope that you guys try this out and that you like it. Let me know what you think if you do try it. And yeah, there's the recipe. So see you guys later. Hello, I'm not gone yet. Quick disclaimer video at the end of the recipe one you just watched. I just got done editing it, and holy moly guacamole sauce. That was extremely monotone, and I seemed very miserable, which I wasn't. I was just super tired, and I had no idea it was going to show through in the video like that, which maybe you guys didn't even notice, but when I was watching it, I know how I usually talk, and that was pretty dull. It was like, now you're going to cut the butternut squash, and it's going to be about this big. I mean, you guys must have been falling asleep. I'm so sorry. I was going to re-record it, but then I thought, nah, I'll just make a disclaimer video. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm in my pajamas again, so I only have time usually at the end of the day. And yeah, I was just beat yesterday. I guess so. But I'm going to try to post some more recipes. I'm going to try to get better about it. I usually try to wait until you guys ask for them, because a lot of times I'll post the pictures of just random foods that I've paired together, and you don't really need a recipe. And then other times, you know, I'll get comments that are like, oh, that looks really good, what's the recipe? And so that's when I usually try to post it. But either way, I want to put some more up, whether it's videos or just the recipes themselves. And I'm going to get a lot better about the blog and Facebook. Instagram is so easy and quick on my phone. I can do that all day long. But I'm having a blast with it all, and I love it. And I really going to have it take off a little bit more frequently. The two new recipes I'll be posting next are Israeli couscous recipe, which my boyfriend's mom gave to me, and it is bomb. I usually try to make it kind of like a treat side dish. Not that it's bad for you. It's better than a million other things. But it has those candied pecans in it that are so good, but kind of really high in sugar. So I just have it every once in a while, but it's really, really good. And the other one, God, Sam, my pug is so loud. The other one is a stuffed acorn squash recipe, which a lot of these come from Kimberly Snyder's Beauty Detox recipes, which I highly recommend her books. They're awesome, very informational, pretty much the exact lifestyle I'm aiming to live. And yeah, she's awesome and her recipes are awesome. Samuel, I'm filming here. Come on. But yeah, other than that, let me know how it goes. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, stay tuned, folks. All right, bye.